here to tell you about day 2 of filming. That was on Friday. Today is Tuesday. I'm sitting in my kitchen right now. This is my lovely kitchen nook. It's really tiny. It's a really tiny kitchen, but it's a nook just the same. It's 5:30 on Tuesday and there will be cars passing out front. They might be a little noisy, but we'll keep talking. How's that sound? Got my tea? Do you have your tea? Or coffee? Or boozy beverage? Margarita, maybe? I don't know, because this is going to be long. That's what I'm saying here. I will probably do multiple videos of this because there's a lot to cover. There's a lot to cover. And it's all going to be just so exciting. So welcome. Let's chat. Day 2, we got a call originally that was supposed to be 11:30, but they moved it up to 9:30, which was fine. Better than 8 o'clock, no big deal. It was in the same place, the same church where we started out with day 1. I have notes that I will be referring to because there's a lot to cover. And I have to tell you, the atmosphere was wonderful for day 2. You stepped in the church, you immediately knew where to check in. You immediately knew I immediately knew you weren't there, but I felt like you were there with me. I immediately knew some of the people that were around. I said hello, I asked a question. Oh, Day, do you remember, do we turn this in and then get our costume? Didn't even think about asking or who I was asking. Didn't think about it. Just you go ahead and you talk to whomever because you recognize them from the day before. They know why you're there. You know why they're there. It was a crazy, lovely feeling. I have to say, lovely feeling. So I filled out my timesheet, which you did every day with your address and your phone number, all that information, turned it in, and you got your costume. I got my costume. I don't know why I keep saying you got it. You got it. You were there with me. You were there. You were here. You were in my heart. Then I went and got changed, went to hair and makeup. The young lady that did my hair the day before was the same person that did it the second time. It just made things a lot easier. She hadn't been very chatty the first day, but I started talking with her and I said, do you get many complaints about people not liking their hair or people just complaining about random little bits and pieces? She said, well, sometimes, yeah. And I said, does that ever get them a reputation? She said, well, this is my first time doing it with this company, but yes, it does eventually get a person a reputation. And it's not necessarily that they won't be called on to do an extra, to do a job as an extra. It's just they have a reputation. And I thought, that's not a good plan. That is not a good plan. But she said, people are people and they're just going to complain. And I said, well, just so you know, I wasn't complaining. You can do whatever you want to me. You can make me ugly if you want because I'm playing a character. So, no issue here. And she appreciated that. And we were chatting and she was much less under pressure, which I think made her more open to chat. So it worked out better. And then I went to a different makeup person to get my legs done. My regular girl wasn't there and I missed her. I saw her heading out to the shoot actually when I arrived and I thought, oh gosh, she's gonna do my legs. But it was this other woman and I got this feeling that she was just a little apprehensive about taking me on. She was very friendly, she acted very calm. She was very smooth with the way she spoke, had a smile on her face, but I could tell she was thinking, I don't know what to do, I don't know what to do, I don't know what to do. And she was kind of looking around. She looked at Chris, the main guy. He was working on someone else and she just was kind of like, okay, well, all right, sure, have a seat. Let's work on your legs. And I told her what we had done the day before, thinking maybe that would help. So she started in deciding that airbrushing might be a good way to get coverage. And I thought, that's a smart idea. Yeah, airbrushing. So she was using the airbrush gun, I guess you'd call it. If you've ever used one or if you've ever seen one, it just takes a little bit of paint or makeup and that's it, like a thimbleful. So she had to keep refilling it, and her coverage was not very good. It was a very light color, first of all, and she wasn't very fluid with it, so it was kind of blotchy. And she looked at it and said, "Oh, well, okay, I think that's working." And I said, well, when she kind of acted like she was finished, mind you, she had only done the top. My scars run all the way around my legs. It's a little less in back, but still there. I said, maybe let's just apply the makeup that I brought and see if we can even it out a little bit. So she was wiping it on. And she eventually, near the end, did ask this other new makeup person who seemed really on the ball. She was young and sort of hip, and she said, "Do you have any advice on how to do this better?" She said, and the younger lady said, "Well, don't wipe because you're going to take all the makeup off and make it look strange. So dab the makeup on." And I thought, okay, there we go. That's something. But by the time she finished, it looked like I was wearing support stockings, the flesh colored ones, which is fine if I'm wearing support stockings, but I wasn't. And she said to me, kind of near the end, she said, "Normally I do wedding makeup. I don't do special effect makeup." And I thought, ooh, what are you doing here then? What are you doing here? I mean, we were told to show up in makeup. So there were maybe a few people that didn't have makeup. The makeup crew was there to cover up tattoos, cover up scars. She was in over her head, and I felt bad for her, and I also felt bad for my legs because they looked horrible. But you know what? I said to myself, I just told Courtney, who did hair, I just told Courtney, I'm not here to look pretty, I'm playing a character, so screw it. If we're doing more of the reception scene, it's not going to matter anyway because my legs will be behind a table. So I just went with it. I said, I'm just not even going to think about it. The end. So there you go. After that, we all met in the gym, kind of gathered together for announcements and to get ready to go on the bus. And we realized that Havala wasn't there. Remember her? She was the assistant. There goes the car. She was the assistant director that had the baby bump. We weren't really surprised that she wasn't there because, she has a job. She doesn't need to be part of a party scene, and she had looked really uncomfortable the day before. So we didn't see her there and figured she's probably just going back to being an assistant director. I don't really blame her. Joanna wanted us to all gather around and get our picture taken, and someone took our picture, and she sent it to me. Joanna sent it to me in a text, and my reply was, "Oh, I look crazy." But looking back on the picture, I don't look crazy. I actually look amazing because I look so happy. I regretted saying that. I think it was strange to have such a naturally happy picture taken. I didn't pose for it. I think I got caught laughing about something, but it's a great picture. I'll put it up for you. It's just a happy picture of the four of us. So Joanna is next to me, and then Amy is next to her, and then Lauren is the one on the end. We became quite the clan. I think that we really connected. It was great. After taking the picture and all that, we got on the bus to get to the motel. I don't know. It's a Comfort Suites motel. And I sat next to Susan, who you may remember was the lady that I met at the fitting who had the red dress that we were trying to figure out. I ended up telling her about my YouTube idea, and she thought that was interesting. She seemed intrigued by that. And I said to her, so what would you do? What scares you, or what kind of intimidates you? And she didn't even have to think about it. She said, swimming. Boom, right off the bat. I said, okay, why swimming? What, do you know why you're afraid of that? She said, when my dad was in the military, he did some sort of training where he was underwater. He hid underwater, And I don't know if she was thinking that there were things in the water, there were people in the water, there was danger in the water, or maybe he didn't spend time in the water for fun. I mean, if you're hanging out underwater waiting to shoot people, maybe that's not a good time with your family, right? But whatever the reason, she was afraid of water. I said, okay, so tell me, have you ever wanted to overcome that? She said, well, I guess so, yeah. I said, okay, well, what would be the worst thing that could happen if you tried to overcome your fear of swimming? She said, well, I'd be embarrassed and I'd look like I didn't know what I was doing. And I said, okay, so then what's the best thing that could happen? She said, oh gosh, I'd be able to swim. Yep, you'd be able to swim. She also said, if I wasn't afraid of swimming, I'd be able to do things like water ski, which looks like so much fun. And I just thought to myself, it's amazing what we do to ourselves, isn't it? You know logically, she knows logically that swimming is safe. I mean, as long as you're not maybe swimming where people could be hiding in the water, I guess. And she's an adult. She was a full-blown adult. But for some reason, just the thought of being embarrassed was enough to keep her from doing something that she knew once she overcame it, if she overcame it, that it would make her happy, that she would feel free. She even used that word. She said it would feel so free to be able to go water skiing or to go swimming. And I just thought, well, that's saying a lot, isn't it? She assured me she wasn't afraid to have a good time, which I thought was funny. She said, that doesn't mean that I get wasted, but I do like to go out and have a drink and have a good time, unlike other people my age. I thought that was adorable. So we went back to the hotel. We were taken to a small conference room at the end of this hallway from where they were doing the shooting, and there were snacks and drinks, and we chatted and just waited around. And at my table were the other 3 bridesmaids and a man named Jeremy, and the groomsman that I had been connected with the day before in the shoot. His name was Atlee, and then Atlee's wife, Rachel. So we all chatted and just got to know each other a little bit better. I managed to talk about having cancer, and I was kind of proud of myself. I didn't do it in a way, I try not to do it in a way that makes people uncomfortable, that sounds like a woe is me sort of story. Just give the basic details so people kind of know where my scars come from, because they're pretty obvious and they had heard me mention them before. It was interesting to see people's reaction. They were very sympathetic and concerned and asked questions. It was good. It didn't take up too much time. I don't want that to be the primary focus of my life. Obviously it's a part of it, but it's not the main part. I don't want it to be the main part. Anyway, so that was that. Jeremy got picked out to do something in a scene. We didn't know what, so that was exciting. And Rachel was talking about how some people get really upset that they're not the ones picked and that so-and-so got picked. Why did they get picked? And she said, that's dumb. Just be excited for them. They got picked. They're going to be in the film. I mean, I would want someone to be excited for me. And I agreed with her, of course. And then I got picked with a few other people, not the other bridesmaids. It was just me and some other people that were in colorful costumes. So I thought, oh gosh, well, what's this about? I'm getting picked to do something exciting. And then we got to the reception area. I don't know if you remember me mentioning that there was a patio that had a tarp, black tarp over it, and it was 1,000,000 degrees under the tarp. Guess what we got chosen to do? Now, I don't necessarily have a problem with looking stupid in a costume or whatever, but being out in the extremes is a different story. Still, this was what we were asked to do. We were asked to stand outside under that black tarp behind a sheer curtain, sort of like this, that covered the door, because there was going to be a scene in the probably where you would put buffet tables, kind of an entryway to the main conference hall or reception hall. So it goes patio, entryway, conference room area. So in the entryway, there was going to be a fight scene. So that's exciting. But on the patio, we were just background. I don't even know if they could see our costumes, just sort of silhouettes. So we had our drinks that we took out there, which were these glasses, these highball glasses of soda or what have you, that had these, I think they were silicone ice cubes. So they didn't clink. They were plastic cups, so they really didn't clink. You knew that if you took them out, you could bounce them off the floor. But so we weren't allowed to drink from them. I was connected with these two guys. Joe was one guy and Trevor was the other guy. And we were told to have a lively conversation, not just a conversation, but a lively conversation that you could see kind of through the room and through the curtain and outside. So we were kind of pushed up against the glass, holding our drinks and chatting and, you know, acting flamboyantly or whatever you want to call it. And Trevor, the minute he got that glass, regularly did this. Even if we weren't on camera. It cracked me up every time. I don't know why I thought it was so funny, but it was. Just kind of this deadpan, just taking a drink. Nobody was watching him. I was, out of the corner of my eye, and he'd take a drink and I'd crack up. So it worked. There you go. They added 4 more people. So there were, how many were there? There were 8 of us outside, kind of all really close to the window so that they could see us from the inside. The guys, oh my gosh. I mean, I was wearing this dress that was off the shoulder and kind of short, but the guys were in tuxes wearing their jackets, wearing a vest. Oh my gosh. They were sweating like crazy. We would go in and out to cool off. And eventually Joe stopped sweating, which somebody said that was a problem. I hope he wasn't like on the verge of heat stroke or something. We were out there for quite a long time. And it was probably, I don't think I'm exaggerating to say that it was probably 110, maybe borderline 120 under that tarp. It was so freaking hot. So we were standing outside, the fight scene would happen, and then people would come out from the conference room into that entryway. Like, what's going on? What's all the noise about? And then it was called cut, and they would retreat back into the reception, and we would open the door to cool off. We'd go in and cool off. And every time we opened that door, people were like, oh my gosh, is it that hot outside? Oh, you poor people. Yes. Even the crew was like, oh my gosh, you guys, I'm so sorry you have to be out there. It was a lot. I don't know how long we did that. I don't know. It must have been like 45 minutes or so. It was pretty miserable, but that's what you do. That's what you do. Meanwhile, the other bridesmaids are coming in to break up the fight. The bridesmaids and the groomsmen coming in to break up the fight. I was the only one at the wedding party. Dang it, not called in to break up the fight. Oh well.